Imagine this. You wake up one morning, and your thoughts are no longer just yours. A device the size of a coin, quietly humming beneath your skull, is listening, translating your neurons into code. Every memory, every flicker of emotion, every decision you haven't even spoken out loud. Suddenly, it isn't private anymore. The dawn of neural interfaces. For centuries, humanity dreamed of merging mind and machine. From telepathy in ancient myths to the cybernetic man in science fiction. Today, that dream is no longer fantasy. Companies like Neuralink, Synchron, and university labs across the globe are implanting electrodes into living brains. The purpose? Restore movement to paralyzed patients. Help the blind see again. Treat depression, Alzheimer's, epilepsy. And it works. In January 2024, Neuralink confirmed its first human implant, a patient controlling a cursor with nothing but thought. The future has already begun, the silent revolution. But revolutions never come loudly. They begin as whispers, almost invisible, almost unnoticeable, until suddenly the world is different. When we discovered electricity, we thought it was just a curiosity. When we split the atom, it was just physics. When we built the internet, it was just a way to send messages faster. Every single time, we unlocked something that changed the fabric of civilization itself. And now, we're unlocking the brain. Not muscles, not machines, but the seat of consciousness itself. The double-edged sword. The promise is dazzling. A soldier with perfect memory recall. A student downloading knowledge directly, skipping years of study. A patient silencing depression with a thought. But the shadow? Equally chilling. Governments accessing thoughts without consent. Hackers injecting false memories into minds. Corporations mining emotions as data, like Facebook mines clicks. For the first time in history, the line between you and the machine may disappear. The big question. So here is the haunting question that sets the stage for everything that follows. If AI is already in your phone, your home, and your city, what happens when AI doesn't just assist you, but lives inside you? This isn't just about technology. It's about identity. It's about freedom. It's about what it means to be human when the boundary between brain and machine collapses. In Chapter 2, How Brain Chips Work, we'll peel back the science. Neurons, electrodes, algorithms. Exactly how a machine can listen to thought itself and maybe one day speak back. Before we can debate ethics or futures, we need to understand the basics. How does a chip even read a thought? 1. The brain's electric symphony. Your brain isn't just a lump of flesh. It's a living orchestra, nearly 86 billion neurons, each firing tiny electrical impulses called action potentials. Every movement, every memory, every decision begins as an electrical signal. Like Morse code, a series of pulses, firing patterns, rhythms. To a machine, this is nothing but noise. But to a brain chip, this is a language waiting to be decoded. 2. Electrodes, the microphone in your mind. A brain-computer interface, BCI, works by placing electrodes near or inside the brain. Think of them as microphones, tiny sensors that listen to the chatter of neurons. Non-invasive BCIs use EEG caps on the scalp. Safe but fuzzy. Semi-invasive BCIs place electrodes on the brain surface. Better clarity. Invasive BCIs like Neuralink use threads thinner than a human hair, inserted directly into brain tissue, listening to individual neurons. The deeper you go, the clearer the sound. 3. Translation, turning spikes into code. But listening isn't enough. You need to translate. That's where AI algorithms come in. They map patterns of neural firing to specific intentions. For example, when you imagine moving your right hand, neurons in your motor cortex fire in a distinct pattern. A brain chip records that pattern, feeds it into machine learning models. The model learns this pattern equals right hand movement. Now, instead of muscles moving, the signal can move a cursor on a screen or even a robotic arm. 4. Writing back, stimulating the brain. The real magic comes not only from reading, but writing. Electrodes can send tiny pulses back into the brain, stimulating neurons. That's how scientists restore vision in blind patients, by stimulating the visual cortex. It's how deep brain stimulation reduces Parkinson's tremors, by resetting misfiring circuits. In theory, the same technique could alter mood, enhance memory, suppress fear. This is no longer just listening to thoughts. It's beginning to edit them. 5. The AI connection. Why does AI matter here? Because raw neural data is messy. One electrode may pick up signals from hundreds of neurons at once. The patterns are so complex, humans can't parse them. But AI thrives on complexity. Neural networks trained on brain data can decode speech, predict movement, and even reconstruct rough images of what someone is seeing. The result? A closed loop, brain chip AI machine, and increasingly, machine AI chip brain. For the first time, thought is not a mystery. It's a signal. And once it's a signal, it can be copied, stored, hacked, or manipulated. In Chapter 3, The Silent Risks, we'll uncover the dangers. Mind hacking, memory manipulation, emotional surveillance. Because once we can read the brain, we can also rewrite it. Every technology has its shadow. And for brain chips, the shadows are darker than most dare to imagine. Because once you can read thoughts, you can also steal them. And once you can stimulate neurons, you can also rewrite them. 1. The death of mental privacy. Right now, your thoughts are the last safe space you have. You can lock your phone, you can encrypt your files, but your mind? Untouchable. Brain chips change that. Electrodes can already detect patterns for movement and speech. Soon, with enough training data, they could detect emotions, intentions, even lies. Imagine living in a world where your boss, your government, or your spouse could know what you're really thinking. It's the end of privacy at the most intimate level possible. 2. Brain hacking. Where there's data, there are hackers. If a brain chip is connected wirelessly, as many are, it can in theory be hacked, not just to steal thoughts, but to inject them. False memories, artificial fears, emotional nudges to buy, vote, or obey. In 2017, researchers already demonstrated remote hacking of medical implants. If pacemakers can be hacked, why not brains? Governments and corporations already track your clicks and movements. Now imagine them tracking your feelings. A brain chip that detects stress could alert your employer when you're lying in a meeting. Or a government could scan for dissent before you even speak it aloud. This isn't paranoia. China already experiments with emotion-detecting headsets for workers. Brain chips would take that to an entirely new level. Military applications. History tells us the military is always first in line for powerful technology. What happens when brain chips are used for? Enhanced soldiers who suppress fear or pain. Pilots who control drones with thought. Spies who erase their own memories if captured. These sound like science fiction. But DARPA has already funded brain-machine interface projects for soldiers. The future battlefield could be fought not with weapons, but with minds. 5. The fragile boundary of self. But perhaps the most haunting risk is philosophical. If a chip can change your mood, erase a memory, or implant a thought, where do you end and the machine begin? At what point is the you making a choice? And when is it the chip? When is it the algorithm? When is it someone else? The line between identity and technology may blur until it vanishes. And that's the silent risk. Not that brain chips will kill us, but that they will change us until we're no longer truly human. In Chapter 4, The Seductive Promise, we'll examine why, despite these dangers, humanity will still rush headfirst into this future. Because sometimes the benefits are too tempting to resist. Here's the paradox. Even if brain chips are dangerous, even if they threaten privacy, freedom, and identity, people will still say yes, because the benefits are simply too powerful to resist. 1. Healing the broken body. For patients with paralysis, a brain chip means more than convenience. It means walking again. It means reaching out to hug a child or feeding yourself without help. In clinical trials, paralyzed patients have already moved robotic arms, typed messages, even walked with exoskeletons, all controlled by thought. If you were told, one chip can give you your life back, wouldn't you say yes? 2. Restoring the senses. Blindness, deafness, memory loss. Brain interfaces are already being used to stimulate the visual cortex, allowing blind patients to perceive light and shapes. Others are experimenting with restoring hearing by tapping directly into auditory pathways. And imagine Alzheimer's patients recovering memories or stroke patients regaining speech. For millions of families, a brain chip isn't science fiction. It's salvation. 3. The edge of superpowers. And then comes the temptation beyond healing. Students downloading entire languages into memory. Soldiers erasing fear before battle. Traders predicting markets by running AI directly in their heads. At first, it will be medical, but soon it will be enhancement. Because if your competitor can think 10 times faster, if your colleague never forgets, if your rival has AI in the brain, how long before you feel pressure to join them? 4. The corporate push. And make no mistake, corporations will market brain chips the way they marketed smartphones. Remember when cell phones were just for emergencies? Now you can't live without them. The same will happen with neural implants. First, medical miracles, then lifestyle upgrades. Finally, integration so deep that opting out feels impossible. It won't be forced. It won't need to be. People will choose it out of fear of being left behind. 5. The seduction of control. Finally, the most dangerous promise of all, control over the self. Imagine silencing anxiety at will, boosting creativity on demand, editing out heartbreak like cutting a scene from a film. Who wouldn't want to be the master of their own mind? That is the seduction, and it is why, despite every risk we've explored, humanity will run headlong into this future. But promises can be traps, and what begins as healing may end as control. In Chapter 5, The Loss of Self, we'll explore the deeper danger. Not that brain chips change the world around us, but that they change the world inside us. What happens when a machine isn't just in your head, but becomes part of who you are? The greatest danger of brain chips may not be surveillance. It may not even be hacking. The real danger is something far more intimate. The quiet erosion of what it means to be you. 1. The fragile identity. We like to think of ourselves as indivisible. I think, therefore I am. But what happens when I think is influenced by circuit? If a chip can edit your emotions, removing sadness, amplifying confidence, who is making the choice? Is it you or the algorithm? At what point does the self dissolve into machine logic? 2. The memory problem. Our identities are built on memory. The stories we tell ourselves about our past shape who we are. But if a chip can store memories outside the brain, or worse, erase them, then the boundary between real and artificial begins to blur. Consider this. If a painful breakup, a failure, or a tragedy is deleted, are you still the same person? Or are you a curated version of yourself? 3. Emotional engineering. Today, we take antidepressants, stimulants, mood stabilizers. Tomorrow, brain chips could do this with precision. A dial for happiness, a switch for fear, a slider for love. But here's the danger. If you can program your emotions, do they still belong to you? Or do you become a puppet, pulled by whoever sets the settings? 4. Case studies of lost control. In deep brain stimulation therapy for Parkinson's, some patients report personality changes, impulsivity, addiction, even shifts in sexual behavior. Soldiers with experimental brain stimulation for trauma report feeling detached, as if their emotions aren't theirs anymore. These aren't science fiction. These are the cracks we're already seeing. 5. The machine in the mirror. And here lies the deepest question. If every thought can be tracked, nudged, or edited, what is left of you? The philosopher John Locke once said that identity is memory. Neuroscientists say it is patterns of activity in neurons. But if both memory and neurons are editable, identity itself becomes fluid. Every technology reaches a tipping point, a moment when it stops being optional and starts being the norm. Brain chips will be no different. 1. From rare to routine. At first, only a few pioneers will adopt them. Patients with paralysis, the blind, the desperate. Then, early adopters, wealthy elites, Silicon Valley visionaries, militaries. And then, the cascade. The same way smartphones went from luxury toys to daily necessities, neural implants will quietly shift from miracle devices to expected tools. 2. The social pressure. Opting out will sound noble at first, but what happens when your colleagues can learn 10 times faster with memory-boosting implants? Your competitors negotiate with perfect emotional control? Your friends share experiences directly brain to brain while you're left out? Refusing a brain chip won't feel like independence. It will feel like falling behind. The choice won't be between yes and no. It will be between upgrade or obsolescence. 3. The corporate web. Tech giants already thrive on data. Every click, every scroll, every purchase. Now imagine that level of control, but over your thoughts. Companies will market implants the way they once sold smartphones. Stay connected, boost productivity, unlock your true potential. And once corporations build their ecosystems around brain data, unplugging won't just be difficult. It will be impossible. 4. Governments and control. When governments see the power of brain, AI fusion, they won't sit on the sidelines. Some will mandate implants for soldiers, others for prisoners. Some may even encourage citizens in the name of national security or economic growth. History shows us this pattern. Fingerprint databases, biometric IDs, mass surveillance. What starts voluntary soon becomes required. 5. The disappearance of choice. And that is the true point of no return. When brain chips stop being medical miracles or luxury devices and become the infrastructure of everyday life. At that point, the choice to stay human in the old sense will vanish. Just as today, no one truly opts out of the internet. Tomorrow, no one will truly opt out of the machine in their mind. And when that happens, when the line between human and machine is erased for good, the future may no longer belong to us. So here we are, at the edge of the greatest transformation in human history. For thousands of years, we defined ourselves by what machines could not do. They could not feel, they could not dream, they could not think. But now, machines are learning to read our thoughts, sculpt our memories, edit our emotions. And the final line, the human brain, is no longer sacred. 1. The fork in the road. We have 2 futures ahead of us. In one, brain chips heal the sick, give sight to the blind, and unlock creativity we've never known. In the other, they become tools of surveillance, manipulation, and control. The choice isn't just technological. It's moral, it's civilizational, and it's a choice we have to make now, before the momentum of progress makes it for us. 2. The last question. The last question is not about the chip. It's about us. When the machine merges with the mind, will humanity evolve into something greater? Or will we surrender the very thing that makes us human? This is not a scientific question. It's a question of identity, a question of survival, a question only we can answer. 3. The call to action. So here's what you must do. Share this video. Talk about it. Debate it with friends, family, colleagues. Because the more people know, the harder it will be for corporations or governments to decide our future in silence. And if this gave you chills, don't stop here. Watch the Grey Goose scenario, when nanobots consume the Earth. Binge the Apocalypse playlist, where we uncover the real risks of AI, biology, and the end of the universe itself. The machines are not waiting. The chips are already here. The future is arriving faster than we are ready for. But the story of what happens next is still in our hands.